Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Denver Broncos versus Miami Dolphins Week 13 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between different variables. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data, of course, looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course, how the special teams is doing. And when you look at all these things combined, you take all the data and you throw it into one number, and then you compare it to every single team since 1998. The Denver Broncos are favored in this game over the Miami Dolphins. Now let's get into some reasons why. Because there definitely is an element of, well, hold on a second, both these teams are not that great, which is true. But let's get into some reasons why. First off, with the Denver Broncos, offensively speaking, they have better offensive score percentage compared to the Dolphins, meaning that they're able to score on every single offensive drive at a higher rate than the Dolphins are. And it's like anything else, guys. If you're able to score in every single offensive drive, or the majority of your offensive drives, you're more likely to win football games. And in this particular aspect, that's where the Broncos are favored. Now, the Dolphins are better when it comes to turnover ratio. They don't turn the football over as much as the Broncos do. They don't allow as many sacks as the Broncos do. But the Broncos are still able to put up more points, which is kind of why they're favored on offense when you think of the grand scheme of things. Defensively speaking as well, the Broncos have the better defensive offensive score percentage, meaning that they don't allow as many points on defense per drive compared to the Dolphins. On top of that, the Broncos have a better sack percentage, a better interception percentage, whereas the Dolphins have a better turnover percentage. But both of these defenses, both the Broncos, both the Dolphins, are not that great when it comes to creating turnovers. But the Broncos do have that advantage when it comes to sack percentage. And then, of course, when you get to special teams data, so punt return yardage favors the Broncos, kick return yardage favors the Dolphins, defensive punt return and defensive kick return yardage favors the Dolphins, field goal percentage favors the Dolphins, extra point percentage favors the Broncos, and then punting average favors the Dolphins. Now, who has the better special teams? I would actually say it's the Dolphins. I tend to side with field goal percentage over everything else when it comes to special teams, because it gives you a good idea of just the ability to, the ability to put 3 points on the board is huge in games, especially close games. A game like this, which is going to be close, is definitely something where you want to have a really good field goal percentage. And because of that, that's kind of why I side with the Dolphins in terms of special teams. But overall, offensively speaking, the Broncos are favored because of their ability to put up more points on offense. They're also favored in terms of their ability to prevent points on defense with the sack percentage. And then the Dolphins have the advantage on special teams. But the fact that the Broncos are favored on offense and defense is why they're favored in this game. It's why there's that kind of disparity. But it is fairly close between both these teams. Now when we get to some smaller matchups, so looking at down and distance data, when you look at the Broncos offense versus Dolphins defense when it comes to completion percentage data, the Dolphins are favored on first and second down. Then, of course, you get to the Dolphins versus Broncos defense when it comes to completion percentage, where the Dolphins are favored on second and third down. Then we get to rushing down. So this is the ability to create first downs with the run and various downs and distances, or to prevent first downs with the run in various distances. And in this case, the Dolphins are actually favored in terms of the ability to prevent the Broncos offense, the rushing offense, essentially. So the Dolphins rushing defense is favored over the Broncos rushing offense when it comes to first, second, and third down. This is the one aspect of the Dolphins defense that actually performs relatively well. And then, of course, you look at the Dolphins offense versus Broncos defense, where the Broncos are favored on first, second, and third down. Very good rushing defense as well when it comes to the Broncos versus the Dolphins offense. Then, of course, you get to passing downs. Broncos offense versus Dolphins defense, and the Broncos are favored on first and third down. But it's important to keep in mind that every quarterback imaginable has been playing on this Broncos team. I mean, they've gone from Trevor Siemian to Brock Osweiler to Paxton Lynch. Like, it's, it's just one of those types of things. So I would not really put too much stock into this because of that fluctuation, but we'll see what happens. Maybe Paxton Lynch has a big game this week. I mean, we'll see. And then, of course, you look at the Dolphins offense versus Broncos defense, where I would say this is actually pretty even between both these teams. First down, it's even. Third down favors the Broncos, and second down favors the Dolphins. So I actually would say this is kind of an even matchup, where there's some advantages on one down and the other team has another advantage, and there's another down where it's kind of equal. And that's kind of why I would say it's kind of evenly matched between both these teams in that respect. Then, of course, we get to sack rate. Broncos offense versus Dolphins defense. In this particular area, favors the Broncos offense. However, the Broncos offense is not that amazing when it comes to preventing sacks. So I would expect some sacks in this game, especially on second down, to kind of happen. But the Dolphins have been kind of in terms of sacks this year. So I will say that much. Like they haven't exactly been taking advantage of opportunities as much as you would imagine they would. Then, of course, you look at sack rate for the Dolphins offense versus Broncos defense. In this area, the Broncos are favored on first and third down. So I do expect some sacks to happen on those particular downs. And we get to the interception ratio of the Broncos offense versus Dolphins defense, where the Dolphins are favored on first and third down. And then finally, you get to the Dolphins offense versus Broncos defense, where the Broncos are favored on first and second down, respectively. So overall impressions of this game, I'm going to be honest, I kind of feel like it's going to be a Dolphins victory. Despite what the data says about the Broncos, despite all that stuff, because the Broncos are favored because their offense is a little bit better in terms of putting up points. Their defense obviously is a little bit better when it comes to getting sacks and all the other kind of stuff. But Paxton Lynch played really, really poorly last week. There's a lack of continuity on offense. There's a lack of direction. We're getting towards the end of the season where people are kind of hitting the button of I give up. The I give up button is being hit by a lot of players now because they're not in the playoffs. They're looking to the future. You know, they're not really. I mean, it's professional sports. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of players are at the point where they just want to get out of the situation. So I would actually go Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins have had a lot of issues this year. They're another team that's really dysfunctional, but I just feel like Paxton Lynch is going to come into this game, not going to play that well, and ultimately the Dolphins will be able to kind of piece stuff together when it comes to their overall team. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.